I've been trading stocks, burned over $100,000 on paid courses, blew up 3 accounts around the way. And only now I'm finally getting completely different results. If you've thrown tens of thousands of dollars into paid courses, and you're still getting trapped and stopped out every time you trade stocks, there's a good chance you just haven't found the market that truly fits you yet. Just last week, I made $250,000, and last month alone, my profit hit $2.7 million. Today, in this video, I'll show you which market is actually the easiest to make money in. The hidden NASDAQ futures pattern that 90% of traders don't know about. The exact entry timing I use to lock in real profit. And real-world strategy to grow a small account into a much bigger one. Once you really understand this, you stop being the person the market beats up every day. And you become a real trader who reads the flow clearly, takes the trades with solid reasons, and builds steady profits over time. Most traders lose money for a simple reason. They keep trading markets that are very hard to predict. There are many markets with huge volatility or charts that lose consistency, where even a perfect entry goes the exact opposite way, and traders keep losing money. But NASDAQ is different. It's a very honest market that actually follows the chart. It doesn't get whipped around by sudden news or random, confusing moves like a lot of other markets. And when you read basic techniques like trend lines, moving averages, and simple support and resistance correctly, the direction of the market becomes very clear. That's why I chose NASDAQ. NASDAQ moves this clean and this constantly for a very clear structural reason. There are thousands of listed companies around the world, but right now, only 7 names actually drive this market. We call them the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, Tesla, Nvidia. The total market cap of these 7 is bigger than the entire FTSE 100 in the UK, and even larger than all 600 companies in Europe's main stock index combined. 7 companies are beating an entire continent's stock market by themselves. Why does this happen? Because today's market is built so the number 1 player takes almost all the money. Capital isn't spread out, it's focused on the Magnificent Seven, which means the direction of money is very clear. That's why NASDAQ moves cleanly with the chart. When money crowds to one side, the pattern is insanely clear. NASDAQ reads the global markets. Once you read NASDAQ direction, you can see the flow in Bitcoin, gold, and other assets. In the end, they all follow NASDAQ. Once I understood this structure, I started taking compounding returns with NASDAQ day trading. And the technical skill I built there let me pull big profits from Bitcoin and gold as well. That's why I'm sure of this. If you want to win in other markets, you must first understand NASDAQ clearly. The moment NASDAQ makes sense, every other market becomes much easier to read. From now on, I will show you exactly how I made those profits, starting with the big picture pullback zones I focus on the most. On the 2022 NASDAQ daily chart, you can see it just by drawing a simple trend line. Price kept making lower highs and getting reject at the trend line. Every bounce in March and August 2022 failed to break that line. Then in early 2023, price finally broke above the long-term moving average and that trend line. After that, it found support at the double bottom neckline. We even got a bullish hammer candle there, confirming the shift into an uptrend. So when price breaks through a trend line like this and pushes up, that's the signal to start looking for entries. If you look at this period, you can see the index moving in a box range for almost 3 months before it finally broke the trend line, and very often before a trend flips. Price builds this kind of heavy supply and demand zone, which later acts as a strong support and resistance area. NASDAQ usually pulls back about 30 to 50% during a trend. And this zone was the exact 50% retracement from the COVID crash low up to the November 2021 high. If you look at the uptrend from 2016 to 2019, you can see the pullback ending around the 50% zone and price bouncing up from there. So this area was acting as a 50% support zone. And at that time, I was reading the market based on these pullbacks inside the bigger trend. And since then, NASDAQ has been pushing up for almost 2 years, breaking to new all-time highs over and over. NASDAQ has a habit, almost a big drop, it tries to climb back almost the same distance. And on this chart, you can see a sharp setup first, then a rally that travels almost the same length as that drop. And then a second move up that repeats almost the exact same size again. This is not an accident. NASDAQ frequently creates this kind of symmetric structure. So I studied this pattern and judged that the move into the new all-time highs in 2025 would start from this exact structure. I had this big picture for NASDAQ drawn out long before it ever pushed into new all-time highs in 2025. And the market has played out almost exactly like that. Most traders just stare at small time frames and chase quick scalps. But the real big money comes from reading the big picture first. Most of you are probably more curious about how I've been able to make money constantly than the exact setup itself. So let me break it down. I trade about 80% with the trend and 20% counter trend. Trend trades mean I only enter in one clear direction while the move is already in progress. And counter trend trades are entries at real turning points where the trend is shifting. But NASDAQ usually respects the trend, so trying to catch every reversal is not the right game here. That's why I wait for pullbacks inside one strong trend direction and enter there. I focus on spotting the pullback zones inside the big trend. Most traders look at this area and think a reversal is coming because they see a double top here. But I see this whole zone as just a pullback inside the trend, expecting price to climb again. If I'm trading with this trend, the best play is to enter on these dips during the move. In a strong trend, almost any entry will give you profit, but we want to enter where the risk reward is much better. Of course, catching the very start of a trend gives you the biggest profit. But because nobody can know the exact starting point, I wait for clear direction and then enter with the move. This is one of the safest ways to trade. And with this strategy, I've been taking around a few $100,000 in profit every week. This was the US election day. And after price broke above the 120 long-term moving average, you can see it holding support at both the moving average and that major price zone. After moving sideways here for a long time, that clean break of the 120 made this a spot where a new trend was very likely to start. On the 1-hour chart, it might look like we cut a reversal in a downtrend. But on the daily chart, this is actually an entry on a pullback inside the uptrend. It's a dip down to the bottom of the trend line in the bullish move that's been running since August 2024. In this trade, I had my position all the way to a target that was twice my risk from that first 1-hour breakout candle on the US election day. Price ran up to exactly 2 times that breakout candle's move and then pulled back to about half of that move. When you see a pullback like this at the very start of a new trend, I must be buying, not selling. That's exactly how I trade it. Here, I treat the tail of this lower wick hammer candle as a demand zone, and if I enter where price bounces from that area, the chance that the move continues up after the pullback is very high. In this area, you need to judge whether the pullback will go deeper or if price can really drop any further. And here I made that call using this long wick candle. A lot of traders try to memorize dozens of candlestick patterns. I used to do that too. But in real trading, they fail all the time, so now I only focus on two types of candles. A hammer with a wrong lower wick like this, and an inverted hammer with a wrong upper wick. The doji is this simple, cross shape here. Don't overthinking it. When you see candles like these, just assume there's a high chance the trend is about to turn. Here, this candle is a lower wick hammer candle. During the 1 hour candle, price flushed all the way down here and then got pulled back up. That's clear buy pressure stepping in. This is how you read the blueprint of real money coming into the market. By treating the candle itself as a supply or demand zone, you can spot where the correction is likely to end when one clear trend is in place. To find the best dip, you need to check three things: the size of the pullback, the candle, and the direction of the moving average. For example, in this zone, the short-term moving average is still pointing up. Price pulls back about 50%. Then after a bounce, it pulls back around 30% again. And we get a candle that shows the correction is stopping here. So in a zone like this, I treat it as a dip to buy, expecting the next leg up. You might ask, couldn't a reversal start a new trend right here? But if you look at this chart, the bull run from 2019 to 2020 lasted about 300 trading days. And even the downtrend before it broke and held the double bottom neckline also ran for roughly 300 days. Most big NASDAQ trends last at least a year, around 300 candles on average before they really flip. So in a stable market like this, corrections and rallies tend to repeat in similar cycles. And when NASDAQ moves just 1% up or down, an insane amount of money flows with it, which means once one direction is set, it has a very strong tendency to keep going. Most of my trades are with the trend, but I don't confidently avoid counter-trend setups either. Even when you trade counter-trend, you must throw away the idea of catching the exact bottom. The chance of entering right at the perfect turning point of a new trend is extremely low, and for beginners, it's basically impossible. If all your profits are coming only from counter-trend trades, a one-way market will eventually take all that money back from you. Catching the bottom feels right, it has a huge profit potential. But your overall win rate drops below 20% in the long run. Even on this chart, if you went counter trend here, price only pulls back about 3% from the high and then the trend just continues. That's how hard it is to trade against the trend. Even if you do enter, your stop and take profit balls have to be very tight. Short stop, short target, and only around a 20% win rate, that's not a very attractive way to trade. For example, let's say we spot a double bottom demand zone here and go wrong from this area. We place our stop loss just below the nearest low. Because counter-trend trades have a low win rate, we always keep the stop tight. Then we look to take profit somewhere inside the pullback range, but I usually aim for at least 3 to 5 times my risk as the target. If my chart analysis is right, and this really is the start of a new turning point, it becomes a high risk reward trade in my favor. When I used to trade stock, every time the market dropped, I felt confidently stuck. No matter what position I took, there were so many days I just couldn't make money. But when I first discovered future trading, I realized with this method, I can create opportunities no matter which way the market moves. Because now I could bet on downtrends as well. But there was one big problem. Back then, I didn't have much capital, so I started looking for a place where I could trade with a small amount of money. That's how I ended up using a lot of CFD platform. And to be real, I went through a lot of bad experience on those platforms, so I set my own standards. How many licenses they actually have, how stable deposits and withdrawals are, and whether they have a real client protection system or not. That was the number one thing for me. After testing for a long time, I now trade with only one platform I truly trust. CFDs give me flexible leverage and no expiry, so they fit my strategy perfectly. The platform I use is linked in the description below. And if you sign up through that link, you can get swap-free options and discount commissions. Trade safely like I do, and protect your account first. For everyone watching this channel, I want you to grow bigger inside the NASDAQ market and build your own way of making more profit. If this helped you, hit subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss the next video. Thank you for watching.